Hi, folks, and it's awesome to be part of this Yellow Talks forum. The first time I heard about it, I thought it's high time. We in India, in Bombay, have a platform like this where we can share our ideas and thoughts and kind of mingle with people who actually bother to listen to us. I, for one, I'm more of a behind-the-scenes person. I draw for a living. It's as clean and simple as that. So if I have to sum up my life in one anecdote, it'll usually be like if I'm at a wedding or a party or something. I don't attend too many parties, but if I am at one of those, hey man, so what do you do? And I'll be like, I'm an artist. Yeah, but what do you do? You know, what do you do for a living? What do you do for food? I say, I look pretty well fed. It's not like I'm starving or anything. I draw for a living. I'm an artist. I create comics and animations. I used to work full time, but I have let that slide by, and I've been on my own for the last 9 odd years, I suppose. And yes, we have started a merchandise business with my wife Diksha. She's right there in the crowd, and you can see us at most of the comic cons all over India and abroad. That's a great place to display your work and kind of talk to people as to what they like. I wish I drew for Tintin, but Tinkle is what I would settle for. It's been a good 12 years since I've been drawing for Tinkle Comics. I guess most of us in this hall have read, Tinkle. I see one very enthusiastic person right there. As a child, just to share a little background story as to how it all started, like one of those Batman movies or Origins. Nothing as intense as that, but I was always into comics. Never read a single novel or children's books. Even in school we had the librarian coming and giving us some Nancy Drews or Hardy Boys. Confession, never read a book. A book, even now, induces an X amount of sleep in my head if I have to read text, 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 and text. But a comic is something that you will connect with as soon as you open the first page. And let's face it, it's a visual medium. Especially when we were children, we used to skim through newspapers because the teachers used to tell us, you have to read the news. What would we notice first? The pictures. And back then, things weren't as depressing as what they are today. We actually had some happy news on the front page sometimes. Now we have to just hunt for it. I mean, even the damn sports page is depressing. That apart, I was always into comics. My early inspirations were Asterix, Tintin, Tinkle, of course. I've grown up reading Tinkle. So my first exposure to Tinkle was when I was in the 9th standard, and my parents supported my interest a lot. So she left no stone unturned when it came to meeting people. And back then we didn't have Yellow Talks. So we actually had to do a lot of research as to what is the office, where is the office, what's the number, etc., etc. So I was in the 9th standard, and my mom took me to meet the one and only Uncle Pai, the late Uncle Pai, who was then the editor of Tinkle. And I was like, oh man, this is unreal. I mean, I'm going to the Tinkle office, the place where Shikari Shambhu and Supandi come from. And I met Uncle Pai, and I was so happy, and he saw my work. He said, it's nice, but you're just in school, so you need to polish up and finish your education, blah, blah, blah. But all the time I was just, I'm in the Tinkle office. And he was nice enough to give me a story to draw, and I drew it out, I sent it, and of course he wrote back saying, you have a lot to do before you actually draw for comics professionally. That was sometime in 97, I think, and cut to 2004, when I was told again by someone to visit the Tinkle office because they're looking for illustrators. And by then I had a portfolio which had built up, with Midday being my first big break. So I had a lot of cartoons and even articles that I used to write for Midday. I had it all built up, and finally he was like, okay, you know what? Let's give it a shot. We'll give you a story and we'll see how it works. So it was that day, and till date, touchwood, I am still drawing for them as a freelance illustrator. I handle quite a few comic strips for them, like Butterfingers, Defective Detectives. I've got a PPT with me, the most boring file format ever, because especially at design forums and sessions, you go in with one particular, mindset. Oh man, we're going to watch some animations. And suddenly there's a PPT which single-handedly brings down all the Enthu ever. So what I've done is I've put together some of my, illustrations to show you, the kind of things I do and talk about it while I'm at it. This is the comic called Butterfingers, which is extremely popular among Tinkle readers. It's about this boy who's in the stripes t-shirt. His name is Amar, but he's affectionately called Butterfingers because he loves to be goofy and clumsy. He keeps dropping things, bumping into people, crashing. But at the end of the day, he saves the day. This is another typical page for Tinkle that I'd done. This is I don't know what to call it, a very dabang take on mythology or something like that, where the Rakshasa is actually wearing goggles and he has a typical South Indian villain's mustache, and the guy has actually come to the rescue of the princess. Stuff like that. I love to experiment with these kind of little nuances in the comics. This is a character called Chairman Meow. It's actually a take on Chairman Mao, Mao Zedong, of course. Okay, thank you. It's a comic which is available on Flipkart. It's called Chairman Meow and the Protectors of the Proletariat. So without going into too much detail, it's actually about Chairman Meow, who's actually a very angry fat cat, who's brought back from retirement because he has to save West Bengal from the clutches of evil. The whole feel of the comic is propaganda art, and you can see the other protectors who are, so there are these two monkeys here. They're called yin and yang. So one is a calm monkey, one is an agitated monkey. This is Red Panda, who's actually the writer of their propaganda speeches. This is Mantis, their guru. So if you can see, it's like a spoof of Kung Fu Panda as well. And this is the public. Some very angry looking students from Calcutta University, and there are some red flags around. This guy, this is a stork. This guy has actually, he's their ammunition expert. So he makes their bombs and their bullets. And he's lost his right wing in a freak bomb accident. So he's called Left Wing. This was a fun comic to work on. Of course, the writer is based in Delhi. But the designs, the kind of nuances is something that we've been brainstorming about, and this is the final product. Some more pictures from the comic. This is a typical jailer from one of our Bollywood movies from the 70s, the corrupt jailer who kind of bribes his jailmates into doing things for him, like Supari. And here's a bloodhound who has had a history with Left Wing. So he's actually unleashed the bloodhound on Left Wing, and this guy is out to kill him. It's pretty intense. As you can see, the whole Chinese propaganda look is pretty much there in the comic. These are the first 2 pages of the comic. This rabbit goes running into the fields and goes up to Chairman Meow and tells him, you have to return. And there's Chairman Meow in all its glory. A very angry fat cat. This was another story that we had done which got actually selected on an international forum. It was a big get for us, and we actually published this in one of our comics. Some more samples. Angry Maushi, of course. So Angry Maushi is our flagship character. A little story behind the character was, of course, you can see the kind of language we use in this comic. It's definitely not for children. First of all, we wanted to eradicate the whole idea that comics is only for children. It's not. In India, unfortunately, apart from being looked down or looked weirdly upon as an artist or anything, it's just not accepted that anyone apart from children reads comics. Even at the Comic Cons, even when we are at our stall at the Comic Con, You will find, parents getting their kids, and kids will be like, hey, you know what, comics? And they'll be like, oh, okay, you know. So we tell them, Angry Maushi is not for your children, it's more for you. You know, you can actually read it to give it a shot and see how it works. But the violence and the language in this comic has actually got mixed reviews from people. But we have a cult following, and I say that unabashedly. See, that's why we don't use big words. So this is Angry Maushi. She takes on the system, she takes on the politicians in her own trademark way. And we have 3 books out so far. She's a typical Mumbai Maushi, which does not mean she's a Kamwali Bai, which a lot of people think that Maushi means Kamwali Bai only. No, she's not. She can be any one of us who's pretty upset with how things are around us. Be it dug up roads, be it rickshawalas and taxiwalas who say they won't ply. Yaar, udhar jana hai, nahi, dusra pakdo. These are the kind of things that, I show in the comics, and it's got an audience. This is where she actually realizes she's very angry and she wants to, change things and take on the system. This is the merchandise that, I and Diksha create and sell. The artwork is, of course, drawn by me, and the production is handled by her, so it's just a team of 2. But these are very popular, and we kind of cater to many audiences in this, be it Bollywood, be it edgy humor, anything. That's the kind of audience we have. It's a wide audience we cater to. We don't want to see anyone go disappointed. Some other stuff that we make. But if people start early, and don't let go of what they want to do, I think there's something in all of us. It's not just about an artist saying that all this during a Yellow Talk show. But ask yourself, every person in this hall must have something that he or she would love to do apart from what you do full time. I'm sure some of you want to sing. I'm sure some of you love to act in a play or theater, Some of you want to write reviews on movies you see. Why not? Just write. Just maintain blogs. Facebook, Twitter today has spoiled the whole blogging and writing scenario. If anyone wants to be serious about it, you can blog about it, write about it. My only concern is that if our Indian mindset still continues to be science, engineering, medical being the main fields, our arts are going to die. There is not much happening on that on a general scale. It's only nowadays that we see comic cons. Earlier there were no comic cons in India. One has to encourage that little thing from within to make sure that you keep something going on a second, parallel line. So as a comics creator, one small help I can provide, or a small tip I can provide is, comics creation is not about drawing it, it's more about just creating it. So you see a lot of internet comics today which are stick figures. They have fantastic jokes drawn in stick figures. You all can create your own if you want it. So there are only 3 things you have to consider when you have to create a comic or a story. One is the main character. So for example, if it's a Saas Bahu serial, not much of a response for Saas Bahu. Okay. Let's take like a Superman comic, for example. If it's a Superman comic, the protagonist is Superman. What happens to him, what is the episode about, what is the issue about, becomes the plot. And of course, there is an ending. You have to end the story somewhere. Which brings me back to Saas Bahu serials. They'll keep running for 8 years, 9 years, with the same crap that is recycled and reused. No one complains, they still get the audience. We don't want to be that. So if you want to take up a Bombay-centric comic, let's come up with something. Any character which kind of represents Bombay overall for all of you here. Dabbawalas and Havaldars, very iconic when you look at them as, as elements. If these are your main characters, what could an overall plot be like? If it's a small comic that you're reading in a newspaper, and if it's a comic on Dabbawalas, what would a story be like in, say, six boxes? Small short story. Dabbawalas are known for their speed and accuracy. When they deliver, they never get it wrong. So maybe we talk about an incident where a Dabbawala gets a delivery package which has some weird alien food in it. Why not? And he's wondering where it's come from, and he's trying to deliver it somewhere. So where does he go? Who does he meet? Is it an actual alien sitting in one cubicle in an office, waiting for his lunch? That can be the plot. And the ending can be something like he's actually delivering it to a human. He opens the dabba to see some new age, organic, health-friendly, zero-calorie food which actually looks alien. It's all alien to me anyway. Organic bread, what the hell is that? So that can be an ending which kind of becomes a statement in itself. And that becomes your complete story. You started with the character, you gave it a plot, and you gave it an end. Something for you to try out when you're traveling on train, bus, when you're sitting in an audience. You can always keep your mind open to all this and come up with ideas. That's as simple as how it gets. That's how we work about it. It's no rocket science. And if you have it in you, just keep at it. I think that's the best advice I can give you. Thank you.